Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. This is my very first video of 2020, which is insane. It's going to be an everyday makeup tutorial inspired by this year. I have an entire vibe for 2020 already, and I'm really excited to share it with you. As I was going through like my New Year's resolutions and my goals, overall, I really want to simplify my life. And so I'm gonna do a routine that's gonna be really simple. Kind of basic, but in a good way. Like, we're going back to the classics as far as products go, and as far as like different techniques go. Keep in mind that you can use any product that you have that's similar. It does not have to be these exact same ones, and you'll be able to achieve a very similar look. It's not going to take that much time, and it's going to look really sleek and sophisticated, but still a little bit glam, which is something that I'm really into, and I feel like is going to be really key for me in 2020 with my makeup and also with everything else in my life. Just simplifying things and really just reaching for and surrounding myself with the things that I absolutely love. So let's get right into it. I don't have my brows on because I'm gonna do my complexion first. So let's start off by prepping the skin. For a more simple routine, you don't need to worry about any fancy primers. Any moisturizer will do the trick. For me today, I'm gonna be using the Clinique Dramatically Different Moisturizing Lotion. I just recently mentioned this in my December favorites video because it's kind of like a basic or classic moisturizer. I know so many people have used this for years now. I just barely tried it a couple months ago, but it's really foolproof. Like, I've used it underneath makeup so many times, and no matter what the foundation is that I use it under, it looks so good every single time. It preps the skin perfectly. So this is kind of like a one and done situation. If you are short on time, you can just use this as your moisturizer and also as your primer. I'm just going to spread that all over the skin with my hands. So there are so many great foundations out there right now. You guys can use whatever you're loving right now. I'm going to be using the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Foundation. I feel like this is not only a great one from the drugstore, but it's also one that lasts a really long time on the skin. It really feels and looks luxurious, but you're not going to break the bank. It's just overall a really nice foundation. So this is the one I wanted to use today. I'm just going to take that on the back of my hand. I did one pump. I'm going to take that on this brush. This is actually a Fenty Beauty foundation paddle brush. And I'm just going to start to blend this out all over the skin. And this is usually why I like to do my eyebrows later when I'm doing a look where I'm kind of trying to go a little bit faster, or it's going to be more simple on the eyes, because if I accidentally get a little foundation around the brow area, it's not going to ruin my brows. So I just find that doing this kind of helps save time in the long run. Okay, my skin is actually more red and more broken out than it has been recently. I was not as diligent with my vitamins and with my intermittent fasting, and so it just shows up in my skin. If you guys haven't seen my skincare routine, I recently just posted an entire playlist of all the things that help me clear my skin, and I actually said in that video that I really can't slack on skincare or vitamins or nutrition because this is what happens to my skin, you know? It was the holidays, and I was not as diligent, and now I'm paying for it, but that's all right. That's what foundation is for. So I'm just taking a little bit of foundation and I am blending that out all over the face just to smooth everything out and to add a little more coverage, and I'm blending it out using the ColourPop sponge. I love this. It's such a good sponge. I'm going to take what's left and just apply it to the eyelids to cancel out any discoloration. And then I'm going to go into concealer. I'm going to use the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. Again, use any concealer that you are loving right now. I've been loving this one because it's a little bit of like a moussey formula, but in a hydrating way. It's really, really nice. It's perfect for the winter for me. So I'm just using that down the center of the face as well. Just kind of trying to lighten and brighten and add some shape to the face. I'm also going to add a little extra over the areas that I want a little more coverage. And then I'm just going to blend that out with the same exact sponge. And I'm really making sure to press this into the skin to make sure that it looks as skin-like as possible. And then again, I'm going to take what's left on the sponge and just kind of further conceal the eyelids. All right, we're going back to the classics with this next product. This is the Laura Mercier Translucent Setting Powder. I have been reaching for this again. I took it with me over the holidays, along with some of the other setting powders I've been loving, and I don't know why I stopped using it. There are so many different products. There are so many products like that, I feel like, in my collection now, where I just stopped using it because there's more to try, and it's really not for any other reason other than that. And then I get back into it and I'm like, ugh, sometimes these classic products are the best. And they're just super reliable, foolproof, they last all day, you know? So I'm just using that to set the under eye area first. I'm also going to make sure that the eyelid is not creased, and I'm going to put some powder on the eyelid to set that and to prep it for eyeshadow. I also like to put a little powder in the brows when I do my complexion first because I feel like it allows my brows to last a little bit longer on more of a powdery surface versus trying to put it on like a moisturized or primed surface. Whoa, I put a lot in my brow right there. Okay. We're just gonna keep blending that everywhere on the face basically. I'm focusing on the T-zone with the small brush and I'm using pressing motions to lock it in. And then I'm gonna take a larger powder brush and I'm gonna use the same powder to set the rest of the face. If you don't have discoloration or blemishes along the jawline, you don't necessarily have to set the face here. I always do because I don't wanna lose that coverage throughout the day. So just kind of assess your own situation, you know? And adapt this tutorial to whatever you normally do. Okay, I've been really enjoying adding life back into the skin with a luminous powder. I've been doing this for a couple of years now, maybe a little over a year. I'm not really sure, but the point is I'm gonna be using this to do that to my skin today. This is the Causemetics Moonlight Luminous Powder, and I'm gonna be using the shade Do Me. I normally like to use 2 shades of this, but since we're simplifying in this specific tutorial, I'm just gonna use this shade. So I put a little bit in the cap. I'm going to take that same brush that we were using with the Laura Mercier powder, and I'm just going to start to buff this all over the skin. You don't need that much, but this is just going to start bringing back a little bit of that dewy effect, even though we have powders on. Okay, I'm just going to take a little bit more of that right here on both sides of the face. And it's a little bit more subtle on camera, but hopefully you can see what that did to the skin. I love this product so much, and we're actually going to be using it in a second for highlighter as well. So let's go ahead and bronze the skin, then we're going to do brows. I kind of move all over when I do my makeup in this order. I love this bronzer. This is from Milani. It's the Silky Matte Bronzer in the shade 01. It's probably one of the best, if not the best bronzer that I discovered in 2019. It's just reliable and trustworthy, and the color of it works perfectly with my skin tone. So I'm just going to go ahead and warm up the entire complexion with this. I like to go along the forehead, under the cheeks of course, right here on the temples. And I like to use more of like a pressing motion when I'm initially applying this. I'm going to go along the jawline as well and a little bit down the neck. Then I'm going to take what's left and just lightly sculpt the sides of the nose, underneath the nose, and a little bit under the lip. Okay, so now that we have the bronzer placed where we want it, I'm going to take the brush that we were using with all the powder, and I'm just going to use light circular motions to buff everything in so there's no harsh lines. Everything looks seamless and like it's meant to be on the skin. Now we're actually going to go back into the Jaclyn powder, the Moonlight powder in the shade Do Me. And I'm actually going to take this on more of a precise highlighting brush now. And the cool thing about these powders is if you build them up, they become a really nice highlighter. So I love the whole one and done situation when it comes to this product. I love how I can use it as a finishing powder and a highlight. So I'm just going to apply that to the high points of the face, down the center of the nose, Cupid's bow, and of course in a C shape around the cheeks, and maybe a little bit right underneath the brows right here, just to kind of lighten that up. I'm just gonna take my powder brush and kind of buff over the cheek area. I feel like I came in a little too close there, but that's all right, we'll just buff it away. Okay, I'm going to apply brows now. And I'm going to be using the Benefit Precisely My Brow Pencil. This is just foolproof. It has been for me for years. When it comes to an everyday routine, I always want to use something that I can trust. So I'm going to be using this. I'm just using light hair-like strokes to fill them in. And then I always flip over the pencil and brush through the brows as I'm filling them in. It just helps keep them more natural and soft. Okay, so now that brows are on, I'm actually going to take the sponge. I'm not adding any more product on it, and I'm just wanting to lightly press everything into the skin just to add another layer of like freshness and moisture back into the skin with my damp sponge. This is such a great trick for when you want your makeup to look super glam, but you don't want it to have like a makeup-y finish. Like look what that did with the finishing powder. It just made my entire face look flawless and glowy. I love it. All right, for the eyes today, we're keeping it very simple, and we're also going back in time to a classic product for me. This is my Z palette full of individual shadows. It's only ColourPop and Makeup Geek in this one, but I was looking for this specific shade and I had it in here and I'm super excited to use it. So I wanted to use this brown right here. Now you can use any sort of taupey brown. You can also use your bronzer because a lot of times bronzers have that taupey undertone depending on which one it is, obviously. But if you're looking for a specific eyeshadow to follow along with, this is called Bel Air from ColourPop. I'll have it linked down below. And I'm just going to take that on a fluffy brush. I'm going to tap off the extra, and I'm literally going to start to just work this all over the eyelids. So all the way from the lash line up into the transition area, and I'm going to move into the transition zone up here once there's less product on the brush. And this is something that can be customizable as well. You could leave it with just one layer, but I'm going to build it up a little bit more on the lid, so I'm just going to take that same shade and do it one more time. And this is a great way to use one eyeshadow but make it look like it's multi-dimensional by just using light layers and building it up so that you kind of create that gradient from lash line up to the brow bone. That is such a pretty color. I'm obsessed. This is exactly what I had in mind. I'm just going to do the same thing on this eye. And once I have less on the brush, I'm just kind of taking it and lightly dusting it up into the brow area here just to kind of create a soft contour. I felt like I went a little slightly too heavy right here. So I'm just taking a brush with a little bit of that Laura Mercier powder and I'm just kind of erasing it with that. I still want that there, I just don't want it as harsh. Okay, I like that. Okay, I'm going to take the same brush and flip it over and just buff it really gently underneath the lower lash line. And you'll see I'm not really being too precise with this. The eyeshadow is just going to do all the work for me. I'm going to do the same thing on this eye. If you ever feel like your lines weren't as precise as you would want them to be, I mean, the whole point of this is just to kind of diffuse the color. But if you feel like you want to kind of buff it out a little bit, just take the brush you were using with your translucent powder. You don't even have to add any more powder and you can just kind of clean up the edges. So I'm going to create soft definition using Makeup Geek Mocha. This is such a cool brown color. You could skip this if you are running short on time, but if you're someone who really likes to define the eyes a little more, or if you usually like to wear eyeliner but you want it to be a little bit softer for every day, just take an eyeshadow that's a little bit deeper than whatever color you're using, but it's in the same family, and just kind of buff that right along the lash line. And then I'm going to take what's left on the brush and define my lower lashes with that same shadow. If you can't live without like an actual eyeliner, you could totally just use a normal like kohl pencil, but this is more of an effortless way to create that same definition. Okay, that's it basically for the eyes. We're gonna go ahead and load up on mascara. I'm gonna use my Thrive Causemetics Liquid Lash Extensions mascara today. If you wanted a softer look, you could use a brown mascara of some sort, but for me, I really wanted the lashes to be a pretty big statement with this look, so I'm gonna really load up the mascara today. Okay, I kind of got a lot of mascara on my eyelids, but that's okay. We're just gonna wait for it to dry. And luckily that's a mascara where if you do get it kind of all over, if you're in a rush, once it's dried, it buffs right off. It's amazing. Okay, for blush, I'm gonna use something that's really kind of beigey and peachy all at the same time. This is from Bare Minerals. It's the Bounce and Blur Blush in the shade Blurred Buff. And I'm actually gonna take this on my sponge, just on the other side, and I'm gonna dip directly into the blush. And then I'm gonna smile and lightly start to build that up on the cheeks. I love this blush, it's so pretty. All right, for lips, first let me wipe off any foundation that got on the lips. And for lips, I'm gonna use a KKW Beauty lip liner. I love all of her lip liners, seriously. I've traveled recently and I can't find my pencil sharpener, so it's a little bit dull. I'm gonna do my best to create a precise line using this. By the way, this is her lip liner in 90s style. I'm just gonna try to line and fill in the lips with this as precisely as possible. But again, you can use any lip product with this look. I'm using lip liner because I want it to be a little bit more of a structured and glam look. But if you're just like a lip balm kind of a girl, you could totally just wear that. It's completely up to you. Okay, the lines are not that great because it was a very dull pencil, but we're gonna keep going. I'm gonna use the KKW and Mario lipstick in the shade He's a Mixer. This is from the new collection that Mario and Kim did together. And I'm just gonna put that on. I'm focusing it on the center of the lips, but I am applying it pretty much everywhere. And I'm just taking my finger to blend it in. Okay, to hydrate the lips and to keep them looking a little more juicy, I'm gonna use my Clinique Pop Splash Lip Gloss. This is in the shade Caramel. This is like one of my favorite glosses to add on top of any nude lip combo. It's just so good. So I'm gonna add a bit of that on top, and then I'm gonna take my finger and blend it in again. All right, now I'm gonna go back and dust off the mascara marks that we have on the eyelid, and also any that got underneath on the lower lash line. All right, we're gonna step back and assess the situation. I'm gonna add a little bit more blush just with whatever's left on the sponge. Of course, we always add a little more bronzer. I'm just using what's left on the brush. I'm not adding any more product. I'm taking what's left on the brush and I'm just kind of connecting the eyeshadow down with the nose contour. Okay, I've actually never tried this, but I'm going to. I'm going to take the Jaclyn Do Me powder, the one that we used all over the face and as highlighter. And I'm going to take a smaller brush and see if I can use that to kind of brighten up the inner corner. Oh yeah, that works nicely. I'm gonna take what's left and just put it right under the brow. We're gonna go ahead and set the makeup. I've been into a little bit more of dewy setting sprays recently, and I've been trying out this 4th Ray Beauty Glisten Up Mist for a few days now, and I really like what it does to the skin. Obviously, I still do love like the Urban Decay All Nighter. I love the ColourPop Coconut Mist, the hyaluronic acid one. So again, use whatever you want. You could use MAC Fix Plus, just your favorite setting spray. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply this all over the face. The only thing is this bottle does spit a little bit. Oh no, I just got a lot on my forehead. Woo! So you do have to be careful with that. But as long as you kind of let it dry a little bit first, it doesn't leave spots, at least not on me. I'm just gonna use my fan to dry everything off. And then once it's mostly dry, I'm gonna take my sponge and just lightly press everything into the skin one more time. Okay, I normally don't do this, but I'm actually adding more bronzer right now. Just the cheekbones, I just really want a little more chisel there. And then I'll just go back over that with a sponge to blend it in. All right, I'm gonna set the brows with the NYX Bear With Me Brow Setter. I like to run it through the brows, and then I like to take my finger and just kind of press the brow hairs down a little bit, and that gives you a nice feathery look. Okay, one last thing, before I leave the house, I always like to take a little bit of powder and just press it on the areas that I really don't want shine throughout the day. So for me, just the T-zone. And I'm just using the Laura Mercier powder today. All right, you guys, so that completes my everyday makeup look for 2020. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I love how it turned out. It looks really fresh and natural, but at the same time, it looks glam, and I feel confident in this look. It's also super easy. It's something that you could learn to do in a very short amount of time. So I hope you guys enjoyed this look. If you're new here, hi, my name is Allie, and I would love for you to join the family. You can do so by hitting the subscribe button. And if you're already a subscriber, but you want to be notified on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, click on the bell after you subscribe and you'll get a notification every single time I post. I'm so excited for 2020. It's going to be an incredible year. I would love to know if you guys have any video suggestions or anything you want to see on my channel this year. Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to read through them and hear your suggestions, because I really just want to make sure that I'm making videos that you all want to see and that are helpful to you. So let me know what you guys want to see more of. That's it for today's video. I hope you have an amazing day wherever you are, and I will see you in my next video. Love you. Bye!